everyone, and welcome. Today, I'm joined by Rodney Clemente, Senior Vice President of the Desalination at Energy Recovery, a company well known globally for their technology that improves the efficiency and sustainability of desalination. Energy Recovery has just announced the launch of its PX Q650 pressure exchanger, the next generation of its flagship energy recovery technology, designed for large-scale desalination plants. Rodney joins us to discuss the technology behind this, what it means for the desalination industry, and how it can help shape the future of water infrastructure. Rodney, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Darby. Always a pleasure.
So, Rodney, before we dive into this new technology, which is very exciting, could you give us a quick overview of Energy Recovery's role in the desalination industry and why energy recovery is so critical for modern desalination plants?
Absolutely, absolutely. You can't mention desalination and advanced water treatment without mentioning energy intensity. They're just directly coupled. They always have been and always will be. I've always mentioned in the past that the Achilles heel of desalination has been the energy intensity, the energy intensive nature of the process, and that remains. And what that means is that you need quite a bit of pressure, pushed through high pressure pumps to overcome the natural occurring osmotic pressure of the feed water, in this case, seawater. Energy recovery and our technologies pride ourselves in being the engine of sustainability, for these technologies and for these processes. At the end of the day, we make desalination affordable. That's what we do. The highest consumer of energy in a desalination plant is the RO process, the reverse osmosis process. So anything you can do to dramatically reduce the size of the high pressure pumps that are required, that I mentioned previously, is a good thing. And we can do that upwards of 60% reduction in energy through pumping, reduction in energy and pumping technology. So it's a substantial amount of energy that we can save within the RO process and overall throughout the desalination facility.
Yeah, I mean, they are growing in numbers. We need this technology. We're advancing. We can't, just brush it under the rug and forget about it. We've got to expand with this technology. So it's a really important subject that we're discussing today. And earlier I mentioned that Energy Recovery's just launched the PX Q650, which you describe as the highest performing pressure exchanger on the market. Now, what makes this product such an important milestone for you and the company?
The new device is 10x larger, so it's the highest capacity device we've ever had. It's the best performing. So when you talk about the performance of any energy recovery device, there's basically three areas of performance that you look at. You look at volumetric losses across the device. This device has the lowest high pressure and low pressure frictional losses across the device that we've ever been able to manufacture. Volumetric losses in the form of lubrication flow. This is the lowest lubrication flow that we've ever developed, or volumetric loss we've ever developed in a pressure exchanger. And mixing. It's the lowest mixing device ever. And who cares, right? So it mixes less, it performs better. Who cares? Well, why the industry cares about this and why it's such a milestone for ERI is because it helps to reduce the specific energy consumption of your desalination plant. The amount of power required to desalinate 1 cubic meter of water. It helps really drive that down. And we know that our customers win projects and the industry continues to thrive on projects that have the lowest water tariff. So the low, in the Middle East, you're seeing, a race to the bottom, 50 cents per cubic meter of water to produce a cubic meter of water, which is world class, right? And I try to put that in perspective for people. People are like, well, what's that mean? Like a cubic meter of water is basically 1,000 liters of water, right? A standard water bottle is 500 milliliters. So think about 2,000 water bottles for 50 cents. You go to the airport, you buy a water bottle for, $5. Mm-hmm. I mean, so we're getting really competitive. And at the end of the day, desalination is becoming a much more competitive water treatment technology versus, let's say, the traditional forms of water treatment.
How does the PX Q650 help the operators reduce the energy consumption and improve their overall plant economics throughout the year and in the future?
When we talk about the life cycle cost of the plant, We start with efficiency. We start with performance. Our performance is the highest, leading to, again, the lowest specific energy consumption in the plant, the lowest water tariffs in the plant, and that performance does not degrade over time. So the performance that you see on day one is the same performance that you're going to see on year 30.
And another notable aspect of the PX platform is, as you've mentioned, its long design life and the uptime. Why is durability such an important factor in the desalination infrastructure? And how does this new Q650 address that?
Yeah, durability, it directly impacts operations in two primary ways. One is availability and uptime, which is huge when you start looking at the amount of downtime per day, in these large scale mega facilities. And let's say you need to shut down your facility 1 day per month to do extended maintenance or repairs. This adds to, in today's dollars, up to tens of millions of dollars of the life of the plant. So, durability and availability are directly related to your bottom line, profitability of desalination and being able to, again, produce the quality and quantity of the water that you've signed up for. Number two, from an operational perspective, you got to plan for budgets. There's a lot of things in a desalination plant you need to budget for. We take pride in not having to be one of those. This is a corrosive, humid environment. And anything you can do to increase the durability of your product, make it last long, is a good thing for the plant. It helps with overall uptime, availability, and profitability.
And as countries around the world look for more reliable solutions to water scarcity, Rodney, what role do you believe desalination, and particularly the technology that you're working on, energy recovery's technology, will play in the decades ahead?
Yeah, and I'll close with how I started. Energy recovery and the pressure exchanger really is the engine of sustainability. We really are. And what we do is what we've always said we've done, and is we make desalination affordable. And we are the single largest component in the reduction in specific energy consumption over the past 2 decades. There's been incremental process improvements. Right now, you're seeing a lot of different process and application designs that are very creative, that are incrementally driving down the cost of desalination. But by far, the engine of sustainability for this industry has been the pressure exchanger. And I can say that with confidence because the pressure exchanger is not a nice to have. It's not something that a desalination plant can operate without. A pressure exchanger and energy recovery devices are disruptive. They have been disruptive. They have been game changing, and they are must-have technology in any desalination plant that you build. Every single desalination plant that you build today must have an energy recovery device in it for it to work technically, economically, and to be feasible. Just is. So we pride ourselves in being that engine of sustainability. We'll continue to define what that truly means to us in the industry in years to come, and we'll align our products and solutions accordingly with what the industry needs. So that's what we take pride in at Energy Recovery, and I would just say stay tuned, see what's next from us, but it's coming soon.
Rodney, thank you so much for sharing your insights. I can see you're really passionate, which is really lovely to see. And the launch of the PX Q650 represents just another step in improving the efficiency and scalability of the desalination technology at a time when actually reliable water infrastructure has never been more important. I also want to just quickly say thank you to everyone that's watched this. Obviously, stay tuned for more conversations with the leaders shaping the future of water, and also with energy recovery.
Thank you, Darby.
Thank you so much.